First is for the approval of the 2015-19 Consolidated Plan, Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice, and 2015-16 Annual Action Plan, including projects to be funded with Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership funds.
Mr. Montanez, I
Yes.
have to recuse myself from this item.
Okay.
My daughter works for one of the organizations that will be soliciting for funding.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Talbert.
Good evening, Council.
You don't look like Mr. Talbot.
No, no. Daryl says better looking, actually, so I will take that. Each year, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development distributes city allocations of CDBG funds and home partnership investment funds. These funds for fiscal year 15-16 are approximately $1.1 million of CDBG funds and about $275,000 for the home funds. To receive these funds, the CDBG and home funds, HUD requires that 3 planning documents be created and be kept up to date. These documents include the 5-year consolidated plan, the analysis of impediments, and the annual action plan. The 5-year consolidated plan and analysis of impediments each cover a 5-year period, whereas the annual action plan is a yearly plan. This year, all 3 documents were due and have been prepared over the last 12 months. The 5-year consolidated plan examines housing and community development needs in Corona and outlines city's priorities, objectives, and strategies for the investment of these funds, and they address these needs for the next 5 years. The analysis of impediments is a complementary document to the 5-year plan and examines private and public conditions in the community that may be an impediment to fair housing choices. The 15-16 annual action plan funds implements those goals of the 5-year plans. I got a little ahead of myself there. Preparations of the consolidated plan and the analysis of impediments include an extensive citizen participation and consultation effort, taking into consideration feedback from the residents and also from our local stakeholders, city departments, and things of that nature. For these documents, we had participation from residents that neared 800 surveys filled out and received by the staff. In compliance with the city's citizen participation plan, HUD requires that these documents be made available for a 30-day public review and comment period, which has occurred, and that was notified by a public notice in the newspaper, in our inner circle, and also made available on our city's website. I'm not getting a connection here. Here we go. The 5-year strategies outlined in the consolidated plan and summarized in the slide are HUD-approved activities and shall be executed within our community and our CDBG target area throughout the next 5 years. The next map here illustrates what the CDBG project target area is, and it's noteworthy that this area here alone contains the oldest housing stock in our city, and also contains about 68% of households that fall within the low and moderate income categories. Citywide, however, we only have households that are 29% falling within the low and income categories. Just to give you perspective on what the income categories are for our region is this table right here, where for a family of 4, you can see there, if you're extremely low income, your income is about $24,000. If you're low income, 31. And a moderate income family, which is 80% of the area median income, is in the $49,000 category. So this is what's considered low income in our region, in our area. CDBG funds shall be utilized in conformance with HUD requirements for administration, public services, and other activities. Some examples of what administration activities are planning, such as these documents that we've prepared, technical assistance that our staff provides to our service providers and our city departments, monitoring, and reporting. There's a lot of monitoring and reporting that goes on continuously so we can make sure that we're meeting all of HUD's requirements. The public services activities include services to low and moderate income people, including but not limited to those concerned with different needs: employment, crime prevention, childcare, health, drug abuse, education, general things of that nature. The other categories is a very large category, and that actually takes the lion's share of the budget. That's for housing services, housing rehabilitation, public facilities and infrastructure, and many other things such as microenterprise technical assistance, job creation, things of that nature. So, in addition, this year we are allocating the funds that we didn't utilize in this year. So our public services, so our total budget, for this year is the 1.1 plus the additional $156,000 that we're going to roll over into fiscal year 15-16. So staff's recommendations is based on an extensive notice of funds availability, and we did this starting in December 17th. We're in the press enterprise and through the Inner Circle newsletters, and also direct mailing to agencies previously expressing interest in the grant. They were contacted, and the notice invited them to participate in the process for this CDBG Public Service Capacity Building Grant that we have available. Using these CDBG funds, these annual grants of up to $25,000 for up to 3 years promote greater self-sufficiency for our service providers, and also provides these services, as I've explained, to low-income folks and people of special needs. In January of this year, an application workshop was hosted where our CDBG team, mainly Clint Whited, was instructing our potential service providers how to fill out the application, needed documentation, and things of that nature. In response to this notice of funds availability, we received 12 applications, which was a real robust, actual response to the notice of funds availability. The level of needs in the public service, the applications were scored on different criteria, such as the level of need, capacity building, the level of service to be provided to Corona residents during the 3-year grant. Pursuant to the notice of fund availability, public service providers are able to complete for an initial 1-year capacity building grant and may be renewed for up to 3 additional years. So this basically provides this security of funding for 3 years versus year after year after year, which can be very competitive and can be very disruptive to the service providers that provide these programs. So subsequent to the 3-year funding cycle, however, there will be a cap. Service providers can no longer vie for funds for the same services, although they can vie for funds for a different service, and that's really the intention here, is to create programs that are lasting, that are funded, and then move on to other programs that we can provide to our community. This is a slide here of the recommendations from staff. Staff recommends that the following 6 organizations receive funding, as it shows in the for funding shown on the recommendation column there. And this list of recommendations was taken to the Public Services Committee on March 11th and received support from the committee at that time. The next slide is to show you a list of what falls under the other category. That's the $880,000 budget. And for that, we have a series of different activities. You see their code compliance. We recommend a full funding. We have the residential rehab program and sidewalk project, which is one that we're hoping to complete, if not this year, next year. And then we do have some future projects there that didn't get funding, but we do anticipate making recommendations in the future for funding for those projects. That concludes my presentation, and myself, Clint, or Daryl are here to take any of your questions.
Thank you. I don't know if I officially said the public hearing is open, so if I didn't, I will.